All right, NBA 2K rating stock watch. We're recapping the NBA, looking at the games that were played on October 28th, 2021, to see if there are any ratings that should go up or down in NBA 2K. It's day 10 of the NBA season. The 76ers, they beat the Pistons 110 to 102. Joel Embiid, he had 30 points, 18 rebounds, 8 of 19 from the field, 13 of 15 from the line. Returned to MVP form for him after a subpar outing against the Knicks. He got to beat up on the worst team in basketball, the Detroit Pistons. Tyrese Maxey, he had his best game of the year with 18, 6, and 6, or sorry, 16, 6, and 6. 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 2 on threes. And Shake Milton, he made his season debut with 13 points, 5 assists, 5 of 10 from the field, and 2 of 3 on threes. So he should be a big part of the Sixers, as they haven't had a point guard behind Tyrese Maxey yet. They've been playing Isaiah Joe out of position, and that has not really worked very well at all. So good to see Shake back. Going over to Detroit, the story of their season so far is that Kade Cunningham is not back. He's yet to make his season debut. Hopefully he will tomorrow, but the Pistons are 0-4 without him. They are the only winless team in the NBA. And they are led right now by Saddiq Bey, who had 19 points and 6 rebounds in this game. He's leading the team with 18 points per game. That's up from last season's 12. Jeremy Grant, he's been struggling, shooting 34% on the year. He came back from a one-game absence and had 14, 6, and 3 with 4 steals, but only shot 4 of 14 from the field. At only 34%, you got to start looking at dropping his shot ratings, and the way that these two guys have played, I would recommend dropping like Grant a point or two and bringing up Bey a point or two, as they're more or less even. I think moving forward for the year, Cunningham is most likely going to be the best guy on the team. Kelly Olynyk, for what it's worth, added 14 off the bench in this one. Let's check out the Washington Wizards, who beat the Atlanta Hawks 122 to 111. Wizards moved up to 4-1. They were without Spencer Dinwiddie for this game, so Aaron Holiday got the start, and they were carried by the 3 Wizards that they got from the Lakers in the Russell Westbrook trade. Montrezl Harrell, he's got the green light right now for minutes. Dan Gafford has been he missed this game with a knee injury, and he might miss extended time with that. He got an MRI, came back clean, but he doesn't have a timetable to return. So Harrell, he had 25 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 of 16 from the field, and committed 0 turnovers in this game. Super efficient game. He's not just a 6-man. He can score in the starting lineup also. Cantavious Caldwell Pope, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 of 10 from the field, 5 of 7 on threes. And Kyle Kuzma, he had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 8 of 17 from the field. I would recommend the ratings for all of these 3 guys go way up. Combined, the 3 players that they traded Westbrook for, they had 67 points, 29 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers. They shot 25 of 43 from the field, 7 of 15 from 3, and 10 of 14 from the line. So I think it's safe to say that the Wizards really won the Russell Westbrook trade. Right now, all these guys are averaging career highs in some regard. Harrell, his career highs, 31 minutes a game, 19 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, 66% from the field. Kuzma, he's averaging a career high 11 rebounds. His previous high was 6 rebounds, so he's practically doubled it. And KCP, he's heading a career high 50% from three-point range, 12 of 24 through the 5 games. Oh, and by the way, Bradley Beal had 27, 8, and 8 in this game as well. So this trade might end up being the most lopsided trade the Wizards have made in franchise history. They're usually the ones who are getting hosed, trading a young talent for an aging star, like when they traded Chris Webber for Mitch Richmond, or when they traded Rasheed Wallace for Rod Strickland, or when they traded Rip Hamilton for Jerry Stackhouse, or when they traded John Wall for Russell Westbrook. But I digress. This isn't hyperbole or a hot take. This might be the trade that saves the franchise, as the talk around the team the last 3 years is, will Bradley Beal stay or not? And if this is the move that gets him to sign that extension and essentially makes Beal the best player in franchise history, that's the Wizards have never in the modern era been a successful team. They've yet to crack 50 wins uh, since the 3-point line was instituted. Uh, that's wild. So as much as I've been roasting Russ and the Lakers of late, we need to give credit to the Wizards for finally having a moment of genius. So let's head over to the Hawks, who also played this game, and they've had a couple moments of genius turning their franchise around, but they dropped to 3-2 on the year. They shot 55% in this game and still lost by 11. They had a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, 26-13, and they still committed 7 more turnovers than the Wizards in this game. So that speaks to A, how good the Wizards were offensively in this game, but B, I guess that the Hawks could have played an even better defensive game than what they did. They held the Wizards to only 46% shooting, but they didn't force any turnovers. Trey Young, he had 15 points and 13 assists in this game, 6 of 17 from the field, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, and he made a couple comments after the game about him not getting to the line. I don't think he's complaining about it or like making light of it in the same way that like James Harden was. He was just commenting on like stars around the league or trying to adapt to the rule and whatnot. But crunching the numbers, his free throw attempts to field goal attempts are 0.213 this year. So that's 1 free throw attempt for every 5 field goal attempts. And by rate, I would give his foul draw like a 55 rating. So that is a significant drop from this 96 that he's got. Last year's rate was 0.491. Which is 1 free throw for every 2 field goals attempted. So that mark would break the scale, and I would typically give him a 110 rating. So when you factor in high rating, but also he's only got bronze fearless finisher, but I would have given him gold or even Hall of Fame based on last year. The last point guard that we saw get to the line like that was Magic Johnson, who was 6'9", whereas Trey Young was the diminutive 6'1" guy. So I'm a huge fan of the rule change. It makes the game a lot more watchable now. Nobody wants to watch a free throw contest. The stars are going to have to adapt and figure out what they can and can't do on their moves to the basket. And Trey, he's still having a great year. He obviously doesn't need the fouls in order to have a major impact on a game of basketball. It doesn't even sound like he misses them in particular. He mentioned that like the jumping backwards into your opponent, that was kind of, not a basketball play, but he was just doing what he was legally allowed to do. So now that it's no longer a legal thing, we are seeing free throws down around the NBA. We're also seeing steals up too. That's something else that I'm going to be tracking. But I also read something recently that John Hollinger tweeted that anecdotally, turnovers are up, and it might be because there's a new ball being used. The NBA switched over from Spalding to Wilson, so that could also be a factor in the steal rates. But typically, when when the NBA was more physical in the 1990s, steal rates were much higher, and I think that that could also be leading to the turnovers and steals. I think is that when players are getting hit and not getting the call, they're more prone to like losing the ball. So all these things are just little bits that I'm keeping track of, but certainly the foul draw rate, that has a major impact on player ratings. If we dropped Trey Young's draw foul rating from a 96 to a 55, he would lose 2 points off of his overall. So that's it's a pretty important rating, one of the more important ones in the game. But anyway, covering the rest of the team, Collins, he had 28 and 12, 14 and 16 from the field. Super efficient game from him. I'd also like to see teams, if the guards aren't going to be getting fouls on the perimeter, they need to start dumping it into their big men who are still going to get foul calls. We saw Joel Embiid had 15 free throws in this most recent game. So, Cam Reddish, he also had a good game, 20 points, 8 of 14 off the bench. He's averaging 16 points per game. He's been the best bench player on the team, and he's currently outplaying Kevin Huerter, who had 0 points on 0 4 shooting in this game. So I would recommend that Reddish's rating go up, probably be even like as high as Danilo Gallinari, who hasn't really made his mark this year. and he's just way too low at a 76. He's playing starter minutes off the bench, which is basically the definition of a six-man role. And the Knicks, they beat the Bulls 104-103. Bing bong. Knicks moved up to 4-1. Julius Randle, he had 13, 16, and 9. Only 3 of 11 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. 7 of 10 from the line. He missed the last 2 free throws of the game with the game in the balance, but the Knicks were able to prevail because R.J. Barrett forced DeMar DeRozan into an air ball at the buzzer. Barrett, for his part, also had 20 points on 8 of 15 shooting, so he had his best game of the year on both ends. Campbell Walker, he had 21 points in 29 minutes, 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of 6 on threes. He's picked up after a little bit of a slow start to the year. He's shooting 58% from 3, and that's kind of been the story for the Knicks this year. Is the point guard play. Campbell Walker and then Derrick Rose. Rose had 12 points on 5 of 10 shooting in 19 minutes. The assists for both of these guys are down as Randle has continued to be the primary facilitator, but that's allowed them to focus on their shooting. Rose is shooting 52% from 3, and he normally hasn't been a great three-point shooter. So between the two of these guys, they're both shooting over 50% from the field. Their assists are down as a result, but their offensive efficiency has been a welcome boost for the team. If you recall, last year they had Elfrid Payton as their starting point guard, who is probably the worst. He was the worst shooting point guard, if not in basketball, among all NBA starters. So checking out the Bulls, they lost their first game of the year. Zach LaVine, he had 25 points on 7 of 17 from the field, 9 of 9 from the free throw line. DeMar DeRozan, 20 points, 5 assists, 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Worth noting, on the threes attempted, he's got a 0 3-point tendency from 2K. He took 4 in this game, and he was taking like a 1.5 per game last year. They, can't speak for the guys who do the ratings or the tendencies or the badges in this game, but certainly that's something that will need to be adjusted, because I think that DeRozan's probably going to be taking like 2 threes per game regularly. Nick Vucevic, he had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 threes. He'd been kind of struggling with his shot coming into this one, but he came alive. And some downer news. Patrick Williams, he dislocated his wrist during this game with like a dunk attempt on Mitchell Robinson. He's out for the regular season. Big blow to the team. They were already thin at power forward. I know 2K's got his position listed at small forward, but he's been playing the 4, and they don't really have much behind him at the 4. They've been playing Javonte Green at 6'4", 205. They've been playing him at the 4 behind Pat Williams. So now we're penciling in Javonte Green as a starting power forward. Eek. And Elise Johnson, he's actually been playing the 5 behind Vucevic instead of like Tony Bradley. So maybe they have to bring Elise in as a 4 because just they're really lacking guys to play minutes. I guess Derrick Jones Jr. now has a role. He hasn't gotten off the bench much for the Bulls after starting for the Blazers the year before and having a prominent role off the bench for the Miami Heat in years past. So look for him to kind of fit seamlessly into the Patrick Williams role and maybe keep Green in his bench role. We'll see in the coming days how the Bulls choose to approach that. The Utah Jazz, they beat the Rockets, stomped the Rockets, 122-91. The Jazz moved up to 4-0, and they are the NBA's lone undefeated team. They had 7 players in double figures again, and they're so consistent that there's never really anything to say about them on a show focused on like performance fluctuation. So just going over their lines. Gobert 16 and 14. Houston obviously couldn't figure out his defense. Bogey 19 points. Donovan Mitchell 15 points, 6 assists. Clarkson 16. Ingles 14. Hassan Whiteside 10. Eric Pascal got 13 points in some extended garbage time. So nothing really to write home about. Nobody on the team dropped 20 points or anything. So, what can we really talk about with their offensive ratings, right? So Jalen Green, he had 13 points on 3 of 16 shooting, 7 of 9 from the line. Awful shooting, kind of as per usual. He's 35% on the year. But he took his first free throws of the season in this one, and he took 9 of them. So that's a good sign at the very least, because clearly I think he was one of the poster boys for, I don't know, just like guards not getting to the free throw line relative to what they did last year. But at least he's not allergic to creating contact. Christian Wood, he was solid with 16 and 7. And Alperen Sengun, I would recommend that his rating go way up, probably about 3 points. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 5 of 12 from the field, hit a 3, 24 minutes off the bench. It's probably only a matter of time before he takes the starting role from Daniel Tice. The Mavericks, they beat the Spurs 104-99. Luka Doncic, 25, 3 and 5, 11 and 19 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, over 3 from the line. So yet another player that another guard who's not really getting to the free throw line. But the over 3, if you recall, Luka struggled in the playoffs with his free throw shooting. It's kind of been like a mental block for him, which is like a little weird. So that's worth keeping an eye on. Even at like a 73, you would think that his percentage would just be a lot higher given his talent and shooting ability. But we've seen players like LeBron kind of struggle at the free throw line, and Luka's kind of cut from the same cloth. So again, something to just be mindful of. Reggie Bullock, he started this game for Kristaps Porzingis, and that pushed Dorian Finney-Smith to power forward. So, and Maxi Kleber, he got some extended run also with Porzingis out. Where are these guys? Kleber had 12 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks, 4 threes in 29 minutes. So that is worth noting given Porzingis' struggles. Certainly that Porzingis, I imagine, is probably on the trading block, if not openly, then like behind the scenes, as he hasn't really meshed very well with Luka since joining the team. Jalen Brunson, he had 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. He had 11 assists in the last game, so back-to-back really strong games from Brunson. And Frank Nilokina, we had a Frank Nilokina sighting in this one. He had 6 points with 2 threes off the bench. He was the backup shooting guard with Reggie Bullock starting and everybody else shuffling around in the lineup. So Nilokina joined the Mavericks on a minimum deal. He had 4 years to show something with the Knicks and was not able to. He's listed at point guard, but realistically, he's going to be a 2 guard with the Mavericks last year. Didn't really show much as a point guard in his first couple of years in the league. So I think he's kind of in like the Avery Bradley territory of like a tenacious on-ball defender, but isn't able to run the point and is a little undersized at the 2 guard position. So he just needs to improve his shooting, and then he'll be able to get consistent minutes. And I think the Mavericks are a really good spot for him. And half of the guys on the team are his former teammates from the New York Knicks. Let's check out the Spurs, who they just can't buy a win this year, man. They dropped to 1-4. The Mavericks, by the way, moved up to 3-1. Spurs, DeJounte Murray, 23, 10 and 8, 10 of 17 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He's been great. I'd recommend him getting a rating boost. Jakob Poeltl, super underrated. Probably should be like an 80 to an 82. He had 14 and 13 in this game. He's one of the best rim protectors in the league. Lonnie Walker IV, 14 points. Started this game with Doug McDermott out. He's been great. Bryn Forbes, he moved back into the rotation with Lonnie Walker starting. He had 15 points and 5 threes. And Thad Young, I've been saying every single episode that his rating needs to go down. He was once again a DNP, coach's decision. He is not in the rotation, and yet he's the 3rd highest rated guy on the team. So just drop his intangibles and get him out of here. Come on, 2K. And let's finish off with the Grizzlies and Warriors. The Grizzlies beat the Warriors in overtime, 104-101. It was a rematch of the bubble. The Grizzlies did eliminate the Warriors last year, and it looks like they've got their number because they prevailed at this game. Ja Morant, 30 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 11 of 22 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, 6 of 6 from the line. Bring his rating to the moon. 85 overall. Come on, he's at least a 90 with the way that he's played over the first 5 games. Desmond Bane, 19 points, 5 threes. He's likewise been playing out of his mind, averaging 19 points per game, which is double what he had last year. Buff his rating up, please, like 2 to 3 points at least. Jaron Jackson Jr., He's been struggling a little bit. He had 15 points and 8 rebounds, but only 5 of 16 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3. Continuing to struggle with his shots, so I'd recommend dropping him probably like a point or two in the interim. And the Golden State Warriors, Curry was Curry. Nothing really much crazy to say. He had 36 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. For anybody else, that would be a crazy line, but that's normal for him. 11 of 29 from the field, 7 of 20 from 3. So he was actually cold from 3, and 7 of 7 from the line. Draymond Green, he had a solid game, 4 points, but 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 5 blocks. Flirted with the 5x5. He did have 5 turnovers, so I guess he was really close to a Russell Westbrook style 5x5. Demian Lee, he's been their best bench player the entire year. He had 14 points and 6 rebounds. He hit 4 threes. He played 33 minutes, and yet he's all the way down here, rated on par with Moses Moody, who's out of the rotation, lower than Kuminga, who even when he comes back, he ain't going to be in the rotation. Gary Payton II, Chris Chioza, who's on a 2-way, and Damian Lee's not an unknown quantity. He started for the team the past couple of years with Klay Thompson out, so, I mean, come on, 2K, get your act together. I'm looking forward to next week's presumed roster update. It'll be the first roster update of the year. We're going to break things down. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to this channel and you'd like 2K roster content, because I'm going to be providing it all year. Like this video if you want to help the channel grow, and you can follow me on Twitter at Real2KInsider. If you have any feedback, think I'm too high or low on a player, think I'm a Russell Westbrook hater, or anything in general, let me know in the comments. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.